Yes, yes.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Monday Morning Motivation. Sophia and I are super excited to have you here with us because it's special. Normally, we're just behind the scene, just being the host, but hey, why not having ourselves as a speaker for this Monday? And Sophia, she came up with something that I've never heard of. She said, how about we're going to speak about growth, feedback, mindset? And I was like, what is that? I know growth mindset and I know feedback. Now that I continue thinking about it, I see. I think you should get it like service marked somehow. Yes. If you guys are new to Monday Morning Motivation, scan the QR code. We can add you to the WeChat group. And yeah, what else should we say?
Yes, we are now a community of more than 2,500 people. So join our groups and stay motivated.
And we're launching something super new and exciting. Yes, Monday mornings, everything will stay the same, but we're going to launch a purely Chinese version. And yes, even if you see like foreign faces in there, Amy and Sophia will be the hosts starting from this Wednesday. Only Chinese, so tell your friends about it. And yes, our first speakers are foreigners too, but they said, hey, do you mind if we do this in Chinese instead of in English? And this is how it all started, so why not? Purely Chinese on Wednesday, so please join us. All about relationships, and these two are really amazing. I can't wait to have them.
Exciting.
Sophia, what else?
Exciting news. We're gonna we also have our 365 days of motivation book. Now Christmas is coming, so guys, buy your book. You can give it as a gift for your family, for your friends, and just keep inspired all week long. Okay, so we have so many quotes. You can journal, and it's pretty much it. And Janine, can you go ahead?
Yes, sharing. And if you guys love what we're doing, feel free to donate. You know, we do this for free every Monday morning for already 2.5 years. And yeah, so, and we also give 50% to the 1 Million Tree Project, and they plant trees in Inner Mongolia. And I would say we have so much to discuss. How about we get straight into this? Let's skip our amazing lineup for this month. And yeah, here you can see a typical day of an entrepreneur. But I'm pretty sure that some of you can also relate to this, that whether you're a manager, whether you work in manufacturing or finance, in a startup or multinational company, I'm pretty sure you have been through the roller coaster, and it may happen maybe daily. And at one point you're like, yay, I'm excited. This is working out. It is awesome. And then the next few minutes or an hour later, you're like, oh my gosh, that is so hard. I'm just going to give up. I don't care anymore. Let me just like get rid of it. And then maybe a few hours later, you may feel like, ooh, I'm so good. I know how to do it. I'm rocking it. Yeah. And then suddenly it drops again and you're like, oh, what's wrong with me? Damn it, I was wrong. I suck. I'm a horrible person. So I don't know. Anybody of you has been through this before? Okay, I can see a few hands. Now, talking about this, yes, mindset is everything, because everything starts in here. You are the master of your mind. I'm not saying it's easy, but it starts in here. So your mindset decides whether, yes, you will achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve and the success you want to have, or if you will not succeed in that. So this is your decision. You can train your mindset. Let's dig a little bit deeper into what exactly is growth mindset. And yeah, I even have a Chinese translation for you guys. So Harvard Business Review, I just took something from one of the articles. They said, individuals who believe their talents can be developed, whether it's through hard work, good strategies, and maybe input from others. And that's where Sophia is going to talk about feedback later. And these type of individuals have a growth mindset. Whereas then on the other hand, there's these individuals, they tend to basically like, they think that, or they believe that their talents are innate gifts. And this is what we call fixed mindset. So apparently research even found out that people who actually have a growth mindset, they tend to achieve more. So the question is, who of you wants to achieve more and become more successful? But also, I think it's not just about success, but also mindset can help you to be sustainably happier as well. Okay, let's dig into this. Charles de Gaulle said, the difference between possible and impossible is 2 letters and a state of mind, right? You can make the impossible things possible. And come on, let's be honest. So Sunday, this weekend, I handed in a 120 pages research paper. Can I be honest with you? I don't like writing. I don't think I'm good in writing. I'm not bad, right? I'm not perfect. There is no perfect, but gosh, it got me so out of the comfort zone in the last few weeks, next to my work and my business travels and a lot of new things happening. And then like the last 2 hours before handing in, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to be able to make it. I had been working on this 15 hours nonstop again on the last day, started working at 1 a.m. again, tried to use the last few hours for this. And then, I would pass. But gosh, the last 2 hours, it was really in here where I could see how I was struggling. I had this devil and this angel talking to each other and saying, come on, just say like, give up, do whatever, just sending out like this, whatever, don't even care. Don't put in another 2 hours of work, just go sleep or go dancing or whatever it is. But finally I overcame it. And yes, I made this research paper a tiny bit better and found a few more good edits that I could do, etc. And at the end, it worked out. But yes, it's all in here. And the reason why maybe some teams will win in the Olympic Games in Beijing next year, it's not only because they're good and what they're doing and their body and their techniques, but at the end, it is in here. The last few seconds and minutes are happening up there. Now, let's talk a bit more into what is fixed versus growth mindset. And I have a few really nice examples for you. So there's this person with the fixed mindset, the red person here, who may say, well, I'm only good at certain things, and that's okay. I don't care. But then on the other hand, the blue person here is saying, well, I can actually be good at a lot of things if I want to. Like for me, for example, for the writing, I know that I'm not going to be the next Shakespeare. If I wanted to, maybe there's a potential. I could take some courses and try to practice a lot, but it's not that important for me. As long as my writing skills are good enough for my work and that I get this certification, right? So it really depends on you. So then also the fixed mindset person may say, I give up when it gets too hard. And I had this Chinese intern this summer, Ray, and there were a few things she just gave up in between. I have a startup. If I give up, it means I'm going to get bankrupt, probably, or I have to go back to Germany. So I try to teach her and get her into a growth mindset to think, I try until I get the results I want. And it was the high school that taught her, it's okay. If you can't handle it, if it's too much, it's okay. Just don't do it. And I was like, how can you as a university or high school tell somebody to just give up once it gets a tiny bit too hard? No, that's a no-go, especially for our startups. And then maybe people with fixed mindset would say, oh my gosh, I hate challenges. But then the other person will say, oh my gosh, I know it's like getting like me coming to China. Whew, it gets me out of the comfort zone. Different culture, so different from German culture, different language, Suzhou, I hadn't even heard of Suzhou before, but hey, I embrace challenges. I'm gonna grow with it. It's gonna be great. Fixed mindset person, I take feedback and criticism personally. Don't even tell me unless you want to offend me. But then the growth mindset person was saying, Sophia will go through this. Oh, please, like, what does Sophia say after our session at 7 o'clock? Janine, do you have some feedback? Is there something we can improve for the 8 o'clock session? So she actively asked me, she welcomed feedback. I actually don't like the word criticism. It's kind of like with a negative annotation. So yeah, Sophia asked me for feedback. She welcomes it. And then there's people with the fixed mindset who say, I don't like doing what I don't know. Again, it makes me anxious, gets me out of the comfort zone. I don't have control about anything. But then again, the growth mindset people will say, well, I like learning new things that I don't know. That's how I can grow, become better. I can experience something new. And if I don't like it, okay, but why not? So growth mindset people, to give a few more examples, may have not just plan A, but they're going to think in solutions. So instead of problems, and they will have, okay, come on, there's plan B, C, D in order to solve it. Or you just listen to the language. For example, maybe they will say in a job interview, to be honest, I don't know, for example, Java programming yet, but I'd be very happy and willing to learn. So it shows, maybe they will say, not yet. I don't have the skill, not yet, but I'm willing to learn, for example. This word yet makes a difference. Or if a client asked me something and I didn't know the answer, I would just say, I'm happy to take the question with me. I'll ask my colleagues. And next time when I see you, I'll let you know, or I'll write you an email. Or here in purple, you have this word like, or the sentence, I got this. So when I was like low on my mindset, struggling with my little devils and saboteurs inside me when writing this thesis, I was like, whew, okay, let's make a recording. And this recording of myself taught me, Janine, you got this. I got this. I got this. I got this. And just continue saying it. Last but not least from my side now. So this is really about also like one of the examples you can practice with your team or with yourself today is whenever you complain, stop complaining. After, okay, complain a few seconds, complain a minute, but then stop, move on, think in solutions, especially when you present it to your manager. Do not always complain in front of your manager. Come up with solutions and present it to your manager. As Jack Ma says, it's all about lifelong learning. Sophia, I'm handing over to you. So yeah, people with growth mindset should really stop. And no, they don't, like, they never stop learning basically and improving.
That's right. That's right. Thank you so much, Janine. And in our lives, it doesn't matter in which sphere of our lives, we are actually continually receiving and giving feedback. So that's something we cannot live without feedback because we are always, we have certain behaviors and then we get feedback from the world. We have the reaction from the world, right? And we also are always constantly giving our input. So it doesn't matter if it's if we are conscious or not, or if it's explicit oral or written feedback, or if it's just, you know, through gestures or through the tone of voice. The fact is we are continually receiving and giving feedback. And most conversations about feedback, they actually start with can I give you some feedback? At least when it's not about criticism, right? We are not talking about criticism, but when it's actually feedback, the person might tell you, can I give you some feedback? And our instant response is to just activate our defense mechanism, right? Because we are afraid, we feel threatened, we are afraid of what's coming from that feedback, right? We are afraid of the bad news, and we start imagining in our minds the worst case scenarios, right? So when it comes to feedback, the first thing that it's important to have in mind is that it is not personal, okay? It's not about your self-worth, is not an attack to your self-worth. It's not about your identity. And the person giving you feedback, if it's actually a constructive, good feedback, it's going to be a specific feedback with some evidence, for example. So the person won't be talking about you, about your identity, but only about a specific behavior, right? Or a tendency that you have, but not about your self-worth or a sense of value. Okay, so when we have a growth mindset, just like Janine said, we can actually be constantly improving, be always willing to improve and learn, and find out those blind spots that we usually cannot have access to. So when we have some feedback, we actually are learning about ourselves. And it's really important to be honest also with ourselves and ask ourselves, does this resonate with me? That's something extremely important. So we are constantly afraid of the bad news, the worst possible case scenarios. So let's say that you've just given a major presentation, or you've just finished an important project, and your manager asks you, can I share my thoughts about how it went with you? And in your mind, you just start thinking of all the previous scenarios, all the previous times that, she was not happy about your work or the reprimands. And basically, you might even start to think maybe she's going to fire me, right? So in our mind, we create all these monsters, all these worst case scenarios. And this is because our mind has a natural tendency to focus on the negative. It's the so-called negative bias. So our mind will always recall better insults than praise, for example. So even if the manager says, you have been doing an excellent work, you are an excellent worker, but today in this presentation, you have done this and this mistake, your mind will just focus on the mistake, probably, right? So this is our mind and the way it actually naturally works, because we are hardwired for negativity. But let's get into what is feedback. So feedback is just information, right? If we think about it like that. So it's information about prior action or behavior from an individual or a group of people to another individual or group of people who can use that information to adjust current and future actions and behaviors. And it always occurs when an environment reacts to an action or behavior. So we have this example on the right side. That's a customer feedback, right? So the customer is reacting to a service or to a product, right? And that's how feedback happens in our lives. It's always a reaction to a certain action or behavior. But you might be wondering, why is feedback important? Can I just live without it? Because it's not comfortable, is definitely something that takes us out from our comfort zones. So why is it actually important? Why does it matter? So actually, top performing companies and individuals are not only good at accepting feedback, but they intentionally ask for feedback. And as Janine was saying, I brought this intentionally to my life, because before I was always very afraid of hearing feedback from someone. I thought it was something about me, about my self-worth. But once I got this idea that it's not about me, it's not about my self-worth, so I started to just accept feedback and intentionally ask for it. And I've learned a lot about myself and all those blind spots that I couldn't see. And feedback is extremely important in any area of our lives, but in the workplace, it plays a crucial role. And why is that? Because it's all about sharing information. We are working in teams, we are working with another people. So feedback helps to solve miscommunication problems, right? Because we will, it improves communication, and it helps to optimize processes and get things done in less time. It also helps to learn new skills and get better results because we will have this growth mindset. So we actually want to improve as an individual and as a team. And of course, promotes personal and professional growth, because it's only when we actually catch these blind spots, when we actually understand what is not going so right, that we can act on this. And increases performance, helps to create a friendly work environment and form better relationships. We usually tend to think, oh, if I talk to my colleague about something that happened and I'm not very happy about her behavior in this situation, maybe she's not gonna like me anymore, or she's gonna, we won't be friends anymore. But that's not actually right, because we want honest relationships. Only when we have honest, true relationships, we can actually improve together, right? And be on the same page. And it's not only important to give feedback, it's important to give feedback in the right way. Because if we just give negative criticism to the other person probably will feel offended and won't know what to do with that piece of feedback. So it's important to give constructive feedback because it actually motivates people to improve. And we should give somehow advice instead of judgment. We should avoid blaming, judging, or accusatory type of feedback. And when you give feedback, or especially if you are a leader, a manager, don't say they or them, because sometimes we hear those feedback from managers or from leaders. Oh, then they said that you are lazy, let's say, but they who? And people never know who, because they are actually avoiding giving you the feedback personally, right? So they just put the feedback on the others. But when you give feedback, just say I, and you say what's the feedback, I think, or I believe, or I've observed this. But just be objective. Don't let your emotions, your subjectivity get into this feedback. And present solutions. Of course, not only presenting the problem, just as Janine said, but also presenting solutions and offering support. And when you give feedback, be specific, use evidence. Tell them when, why, like when, where, what happened, right? Very concrete. Otherwise, they won't understand it. And also, be vulnerable enough to ask for feedback back, right? So just make sure they also have the space to share their thoughts. And I usually like to say the sandwich approach, right? It's a very famous approach to feedback. So when you give feedback to someone, just the first layer should be positive. So you should give some kind of compliment, or just make it softer somehow, so the person won't take it so personally, or will be able to first focus on the positive. And then you give the piece of feedback that you think might be harder to for the other person. And for the last layer, it's exactly, again, finish in a gentle way, or with a compliment, or things are gonna go better, or just in this example, for example, keep up the good work, right? So here we have two very clear examples. The first one is, your presentation was great, you made good eye contact, you were well prepared. It was a little hard to hear you at the back of the room, but with some practice, I believe you will overcome this. Keep up the good work. So here we have a very good example of a sandwich approach. And another example is pure criticism. You didn't speak loudly enough. So you are just presenting the person with what happened wrong. And we know that what we expect about people is very important, because it actually affects a lot their behavior. Leaders or managers that have low expectations about their employees, they actually get low results. They get bad results from their employees, because there is this concept of self-fulfilling prophecies in psychology. So whatever we think, whatever we predict about a situation or a person, whatever we expect, it actually tends to become true. And of course, it's not only important to give feedback, but also to receive feedback. So it's important to first listen, because that's where we always get blocked in the beginning. So we don't want to listen. We just want to shut every kind of feedback around us. We want to protect ourselves. We are not being honest with ourselves many times, right? And also be open and receptive to receive that feedback. Don't take it personal. It's not about your identity or your self-value, and perceive it as a learning opportunity, growth mindset. And of course, you don't need to take everything as truth. So not everything that people say about you is actually true, but reflect and decide what to do with that piece of feedback. So what's the value of this feedback? Does this resonate with me? And of course, consider a second opinion, because other people might have similar feedback to give you or not. So you can consider that, and also act on it, because we don't want just to have the feedback. We also want to act on it. And of course, perfection is stagnation. So let's just have this in mind. Whenever you go through your day, whether it's today or during the week, just have this in mind. Perfection is stagnation. So we actually are always improving. And that's all about having this growth mindset in life, in all spheres of life. So our Q&A session is open. So guys, feel free to share your questions, unmute yourself, share us your beautiful faces and your questions.
Yeah, Sophia has to leave in a few minutes. So you basically have the chance to ask her 2 questions and then she needs to go. Take advantage of it.
2 minutes.
Wow, people are so quiet this morning.
That's right. Everyone is very quiet this morning.
Or maybe they're already really good in feedback and growth mindset. That's why you're all here this morning.
I think MMM community is all about growth mindset, right? So these people are already hardwired for feedback.
Exactly.
Mark shared, if you initiate asking for feedback, it makes it easier, I think, as you are being proactive and driving the conversation. Yeah, I do agree. When you ask for feedback, yes, sometimes I do believe that sometimes it's not that easy. I've recently asked for feedback in a certain area of my life, and I was not very happy with the answers. But also, I believe that it needs to be constructive feedback, because if people just say, oh, they said this and this, but you never understand who exactly said that, who gave that piece of feedback, right? And you just you feel that there's no support, or there's no intention of improving on the other side as well. So I think that's really important, to make it as constructive as possible. All right, guys, any questions?
Well, you know, Sophia, she's in the group chat as well, so you can also reach out to her directly. You can see here our lineup again for this month. Make sure you come to our Chinese version if you're a Chinese speaker. Then I spoke to Raquel and Robert twice in Shanghai and Beijing. I met him, and then in Beijing, his wife. I was wowed. We were speaking about relationships, and I learned things that I was like, interesting. So I would try my best to also have them for the English version, but they said that, hey, can we do this in Chinese if you don't mind? That's why we started the Chinese version now. It will happen regularly, and I'm sure you will like it. Yeah, Yolanda was saying, I think it's great what you said. Instead of going to defend mode, go to it's their personal perception mode. Jamie is asking, how do you proceed when you ask for feedback but get none? Ooh, do you quickly want to say something on this, Sophia?
Good question. Very good question. Well, I think many cultures, many working cultures don't actually have this habit of providing feedback, especially constructive feedback, right? So I would say if you are in a position, a higher position, like a leader or a manager, you can actually actively create this culture of growth mindset feedback, right? But depending on who you are in your or which sphere of life as well, it might be hard if you don't really get that feedback. But I think being open to receive already gives space for that feedback to happen, right? For that, I think creating that space around us is very important, even if in the very beginning you don't get feedback immediately, right? I don't know if you want to add anything, Jenny. I will have to leave, guys. So sorry. Have a happy Monday from my side.
Good luck for your event. I'm just going to add one more thing. I also think that you probably know best what to do, and at the end just trust yourself and your gut feeling and just continue doing your best in case you don't get feedback. Or maybe there's somebody else who can give you feedback from the team or so. Oh, Mark, thanks for your nice message. Okay, last chance. I see we also have Emmy in our session here today. So she's going to be hosting. She's our Shanghainese lady, MMM team member. She and Sophia will host the session on Wednesday in Mandarin. Yes, last chance. This is our lineup. And I hope you guys had a good start in this beautiful Monday with some growth mindset feedback. You know, I like to ask you, the learning you got, remember to start taking action, start implementing it. Think of how can you this morning or throughout the day maybe ask for feedback, maybe give feedback with your new communication skill now, or how you can think more as like in growth mindset. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining, and happy Monday to Australia, to Europe, to all the beautiful places here in China. So happy to see you all. Some of you I haven't seen for a longer time as well. Happy Monday. Thanks for joining.
Happy Monday.
Yay, Lewis. Thank you.
Happy Monday.
All right.
I like that. We should integrate just that everybody says Happy Monday on the call.
Why not?
Take care. Thank you for joining. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.